All right, everybody. So week 15 has come and gone in the National Football League. We had the Monday Night Football doubleheader with the Chicago Bears and the Minnesota Vikings. The Vikings handled their business, beating the Bears 30-12. Sam Darnold, solid performance from him. He had 231 yards passing to go to touchdown pass and an interception. Aaron Jones had a rushing touchdown, and of course, Justin Jefferson doing what Justin Jefferson does best, right? 7 catches for 73 yards and a touchdown. Meanwhile, Caleb Williams, quarterback for the Bears, another tough game for him. He completed 18 out of 31 passes for 191 yards and a touchdown pass. So Minnesota gets another victory. And these last 3 games are going to be critical for the Vikings. They have an opportunity to possibly take the number 1 seed. If not take the number 1 seed, they could jump ahead of Detroit and maybe be the number 2 seed. And Detroit could fall to a wild card spot. Who knows what could happen? Maybe Green Bay could sneak up in there. We'll get into Green Bay in just a little bit. But the Vikings have just been clicking on all cylinders all season long. If I were the Vikings, I would seriously consider giving Sam Darnold maybe a 2-year, 3-year contract. And that way they'll keep the seat warm for J.J. McCarthy when he gets ready, because, man, Sam Darnold is playing at a high level right now. He deserves to be the an MVP candidate. I don't think he's going to win the league MVP this year, but I think he deserves to be an MVP candidate. But the Vikings have an opportunity to possibly move up and they're currently hold one of the wild card spots, but they have an opportunity to possibly, maybe, as I stated earlier, it could be the number 1 seed, maybe a number 2 seed. We'll see how it all plays out, because towards the end of the year, they have an important game. The Vikings have an important game against the Detroit Lions, and we'll see how that plays out. But right now, Minnesota has just been balling all season long. The Atlanta Falcons beat the Las Vegas Raiders in the other Monday night game. Falcons beat the Raiders 15-9. Atlanta trying to stay alive in the playoff hunt. Kirk Cousins not playing at a high level right now. I mean, the Falcons, his team, barely got by the Raiders 15-9. The Raiders, another disappointing year for them. The Raiders are currently in the Shador Sanders sweepstakes, or maybe the Travis Hunter sweepstakes. Who knows what could happen, but either Shador or Travis could go to the Raiders. I mean, they've had all of their issues at quarterback this year. Gardner Minshew being hurt, Aiden O'Connell being hurt, Desmond Ridder did the best that he could. But as I stated earlier, the Raiders are currently in the Shador Sanders sweepstakes. The Green Bay Packers beat the Seattle Seahawks. For Green Bay, again, a similar situation with the Minnesota Vikings. They have an opportunity to maybe not only win the NFC North, but they have an opportunity to maybe move up a seed. They could be maybe a number 1 or maybe a number 2 seed. Minnesota, Detroit, and Green Bay are just balling right now, and these last 3 games are going to be interesting of what happens, who will come out on top of the NFC North, and who's going to move up 1, maybe 2 playoff seeds, or who could move down a couple of playoff seeds. We'll see what happens. But in this game, by the way, Green Bay and Seattle was a Sunday night game. In the third quarter, quarterback Geno Smith suffered a knee injury and did not return to the game. So I mentioned about the other teams with Green Bay, Minnesota, and Detroit. Seattle, for the moment, has a lead in the NFC West, but they have to win these last 3 games. If they don't, the Rams are coming. The Rams are in the hunt. The 49ers remain in the hunt despite their struggles. But we'll see what happens with Seattle, man. Sam Howell, you saw how he played on Sunday night. That's, I don't know. It's going to be a tough one going forward for Seattle. The Pittsburgh Steelers losing to the Philadelphia Eagles in the Battle of Pennsylvania. Philadelphia, for the moment, they put all of the troubles behind them during this past week with the whole Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown situation, the lack of passing offense, the passing game not being their best. But Jalen Hurts passed for nearly 300 yards in the contest. A.J. Brown played extremely well. Devontae Smith played at a high level. So the Eagles, for the moment, everybody talks about Detroit, and I'll get to Detroit in just a little bit, but I think the Eagles are the best team in the NFC. they've got the running back Saquon Barkley, who I think will win the MVP this year. Defensively, they are so good. It's not even funny. Holding Pittsburgh's offense to only 13 points. Philly's definitely going to continue to make some noise going forward. The Buffalo Bills took on the Detroit Lions. That was an entertaining game. The Bills beat the Lions 48-42. Bills quarterback Josh Allen just playing at such a high level. Definitely an MVP candidate this year. And Buffalo, I think Buffalo is the best team in the AFC, despite their problems defensively, allowing a lot of points, especially the last several weeks. Baltimore, they've had their issues as well, but Baltimore was able to beat the Giants. I'll talk about them in just a little bit, but I know Kansas City's the defending champions, but the Chiefs have a big issue on their hands. They've had issues all season long, winning way too many close games, but I'll get into Kansas City in just a little bit. But Buffalo, at least right now, in my opinion, the best team in the AFC. Jared Goff passed for nearly 500 yards, 5 touchdown passes in the loss to the Buffalo Bills. Detroit hit with a massive injury. David Montgomery suffered a sprained MCL. That's devastating for the Lions. Offensively, they can hold their own. It's defensively is the problem. I'm not worried about them on the offensive side scoring points. Playing defense is a big issue for me in terms of what's at stake for the Detroit Lions. The Arizona Cardinals beat the New England Patriots 30-17. The Denver Broncos beat the Indianapolis Colts 31-13. You talk about Colts running back Jonathan Taylor. Man, if you're going to score a touchdown, you have to break the plane first, and then you can get rid of the ball. He lost the ball, and he was like just about a yard short of breaking the plane and getting to the end zone, but he winds up losing the ball just before the ball breaks the plane from the score touchdown. And it's been one of those years for the Colts, man. They've had all sorts of stuff at the quarterback position with Anthony Richardson and Joe Flacco. Now you have this situation with Jonathan Taylor is just really bad. And as for the Broncos, Sean Payton, definitely a coach of the year candidate, and what he's done just his second year as the coach of the Broncos, and with a rookie quarterback in Bo Nix, man, then Denver's defense has been really good this year. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers beat the Los Angeles Chargers 40-17. Baker Mayfield and the Buccaneers offense, they put up points on the number one defense in the league, and I know the Chargers are going to have to get back to the drawing board for the Thursday night game against the Broncos. The Dallas Cowboys trying to stay alive in the playoff hunt. They beat the Carolina Panthers. The New York Jets beat the Jacksonville Jaguars. Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams look like the Aaron and Devontae of the old, the days of Green Bay. And Aaron Rodgers played his best game of the year, putting up over 300 yards. And certainly the Jets, the Jets look like the team they were supposed to be earlier in the year. Unfortunately, coaching problems, injuries, but the Jets held their own, beating the Jaguars. We have the Baltimore Ravens take on the New York Giants. So for Baltimore, coming off of the bye week, Lamar Jackson looked really good. Again, MVP candidate. Derrick Henry played effectively. He's another MVP candidate as well. I mean, Buffalo, I said they're right now the best team in the AFC, but Baltimore is not too far behind them. And there's a lot of pressure on Lamar Jackson to get it done this year. Him and the Baltimore Ravens. They played in the AFC Championship game last year. They fell short to the Kansas City Chiefs, but a lot of pressure going forward for Lamar and Derrick Henry and the Ravens, man, because this is going to be a make or break year for them. And of course, Buffalo's playing at a high level. And then you've got the defending champion, Kansas City Chiefs. The Houston Texans beat the Miami Dolphins. The Cincinnati Bengals beat the Tennessee Titans. The Washington Commanders, a close game, beating the New Orleans Saints 20-19. Spencer Rattler throws a touchdown pass to Foster Moreau. They had an opportunity the Saints wanted to win the game. Interim head coach, Darren Rizzi decides to go for a 2-point conversion. Rattler's pass falls short, intended for Jawan Johnson. Commanders hold off in the Crescent City, beating the Saints 20-19. Jaden Daniels had another effective game. Most likely he'll win Offensive Rookie of the Year. And watch out for the Commanders because Washington could possibly spoil someone's playoff hopes in a wild card game. I wouldn't put it past Jaden and also Terry McLaurin, Brian Robinson Jr., and the rest of the Commanders. And also their defense has been very good this year with Bobby Wagner, the ageless wonder. Also Frankie Louvu's played at a high level. So watch out for the Commanders. And we had the Kansas City Chiefs beat the Cleveland Browns 21-7. Of course, in the fourth quarter, quarterback Patrick Mahomes did not return to the game after suffering a high, what's now known as a low ankle sprain. And I don't know. I mean, knowing the competitor that Patrick is, he would want to play in this weekend's game against the Texans. If it was me, I know that the last three games that the Chiefs have are Houston, Pittsburgh, and Denver. I would sit Mahomes out the rest of the year and let Carson Wentz get a shot at it. I mean, Carson Wentz is no scrub. Carson Wentz, hey, you know about his time with the Philadelphia Eagles. The year that the Eagles won the Super Bowl, they were on a roll, and Wentz had an opportunity to win the league MVP till he got hurt in that game against Jared Goff and the Los Angeles Rams when Goff was the quarterback for the Rams. But Carson Wentz is not a scrub. I would consider sitting Mahomes out the remainder of the regular season and just get him ready for the playoff run. I think Carson can hold his own. He's got enough juice. He's been a starting quarterback for several seasons, and so he can definitely hold his own. But I don't know, that's just me. But again, Kansas City's got a tough 3-game stretch. They've got Houston this weekend, then they've got the game on Christmas Day at Pittsburgh against the Steelers, and then they end the year against the Broncos. And those three teams are not those three teams are not pushovers by any stretch of the imagination. So we'll see what happens with Mahomes and the Chiefs going forward. All right, some more news to pass along to you. So the San Francisco 49ers have suspended Devondre Campbell for 3 games after the foolishness and the ridiculousness that happened last Thursday night when he decided he didn't want to play in the game. For those of you that may have been sleeping under a rock, 49ers head coach Kyle Shanahan called for Devondre to enter the game to replace injured Dre Greenlaw. Campbell simply refused to go into the game, and he took his helmet and left the sideline and walked into the locker room, and not good at all. And as a result of that, the 49ers have suspended him for 3 games. And we go also continuing in news is that the Kansas City Chiefs have released running back Clyde Edwards-Helaire. If you remember, Clyde, during his time at LSU, won a national championship, a part of one of the greatest college teams of all time to win a national championship. Edwards-Helaire was a teammate of Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, also Patrick Queen, just to name a few. And if you know about Clyde Edwards-Helaire and about his struggles recently dealing with PTSD, which is post-traumatic stress disorder, and having his struggles dealing with that, mental health, and so on and so forth. But he was definitely a part of several Kansas City Chiefs Super Bowl winning teams, and the Chiefs have released him, and we wish him all the best, and hopefully he can get himself together, not just from an athletic standpoint, but most importantly from a mental standpoint, where he can be sharp and be focused and can live a normal life. And news from the world of HBCU football, former quarterback Michael Vick will be the new head coach at Norfolk State University. After several seasons, the Spartans had head coach Dawson Odoms, who previously coached at Southern University. Norfolk State fired him, and they have their new head coach, Michael Vick. So Vick does not have any head coaching experience, but Norfolk State is willing to, roll the dice with him and give him a shot. And congratulations to Michael Vick on becoming the new head football coach at Norfolk State University. Hey everybody, thank you so much for tuning into the channel. Remember to click like, share, and subscribe, and thank you for watching.